Hello everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. Hey everyone, we're just moving along with the Iron Butterfly here. Now, I already talked about this original album series. The original album series is every album that Iron Butterfly released up until, I believe it was 1970 is when the Metamorphosis album was released. Then there was a huge hiatus of 2 years, and they released two more albums in the same year, in 1975. In order to get both of the albums, had to buy this set. But I actually already own this album, and I actually thought I had already reviewed this album. This is Scorching Beauty. And I love that artwork. That artwork is actually really cool. I really dig the artwork on this cover. I really dig the artwork on the back cover as well. If you're one of my regular viewers, you know I love anything that kind of looks like a fairy. You know, I'm into fairies, and I proper fairies. I really do like them. And this has got like the idea of a fairy and a robot and everything all kind of together at once, you know. One of my previous reviews, I had said their music sounded like it could have been used in Metropolis. Kind of similar-ish, inspired by. We're going to go with it. All right, enough about the artwork, which I really do dig on this album. This is probably... They always do have some cool artwork. Well, maybe not always. Some albums have it, some albums don't. This one does. All right, let's get into the music. Reason I'm delaying on getting into the music on this one. This is the wrong band under the wrong band name at the wrong time. All right. The album opens up with 1975 Overture. I really dislike the organ on this song. Really dislike the sound of it. At this point, Doug Ingle is no longer with the band. I've mentioned before that I am doing an Iron Butterfly rap party where I will be talking about the band members and how that worked with all the albums. I'm not going to get into it so much here. What I am going to say, new guy on the keyboards and organs. It's going to sound different. It's going to sound different, and that is what is going on here. I don't think changing the tone would honestly save the song at all, but it wouldn't hurt. Overall, I'm just not a fan of the song. It's kind of like they're trying to go for an overture by like some classical composer, and even elements in it sounds like it's from classical compositions. No, not a fan. Then you got Hard Misery. This one's a straight ahead rocker. I actually really kind of get into this one. High tempo, high energy, really good track. If it had come out in 1970, it would have been ahead of the curve. It could have also been a really cool killer single if it had come out in 1970. However, it came out in 1975, and for this kind of song to really catch and grab on, it was honestly at least 3 years too late. And that's only because you would have already had stuff from Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and stuff like that was just way more straight ahead kind of burn kind of stuff. And when I say burn, I'm talking like you light up your tires kind of burn, you know, you get that real high speed Camaro rock kind of burn, we're going to call it. Then you got High on a Mountaintop. I don't like the verses on this song. They kind of remind me of a bad impression of Elvis doing gospel, which really kind of sucks because the chorus, and I'm going to call the post-chorus because I don't have a better term for it. It's not a bridge. It's not an interlude. It's not anything else. It's just kind of like you got the chorus and then you got this little section that's after the chorus. So I'm going to call it the post-chorus. Both of those. And then at one point they kind of get mixed in together and stuff like that. Really works on this song. And I really like those two parts within this song. It's the verse that honestly kills this song for me. And it really kind of sucks. Am I Down follows that up, and this one is actually the first song on this album that actually feels about right for the time period. The only thing that holds it back is the warble on the vocals, and there are quite a few songs, not just on this album, on the next album as well, where they do this warble thing on the vocals, and it's always on Eric Braun's vocals, and I'm not a fan of the warble. It really kind of bugs me a little bit. That's just kind of the way it is, though. That's kind of what I'm thinking about with this album. It is the longest song on the album at 5:21, and the music is very 1975. Like if you listen to the Dazed and Confused movie soundtrack, you get the two soundtracks. You listen to them both, and you listen to what's on this out, like this song in particular. It sounds very much like it would belong in with any of those, but because of that warble on the vocals, it dates it and makes it sound like it's from the 60s right off the bat. Like one of those small little insignificant kind of 60s bands that kind of want to sound like the Beatles but not quite like the Beatles. That's how the vocals kind of remind me on this one. With the right editing, I think it could have made a really, really good single. Like if it had been cut down from its full length to a single edit, take out a little bit of the instrumental section, would have been brilliant. People of the World. This song would have killed it in the 60s. Would have been really, really good in the 60s. I don't mind it, but it really is an album cut because for 1975, it's out of place. But like I said, it's a good album cut. That goes into Searching Circles. If I haven't mentioned it already, I really hate when they put the fucking warble on Eric Brand. It's gone up already. When they put the warble on his vocals. And the warble... Okay, so basically what the warble is I don't know if it's just Eric's voice or not. I'm going to get into this on another track. I'm not sure if it's entirely his voice or if it's voice mixed with some effects, which I'll get into, but it really, really bugs me. Like they're doing it. I know why they're doing it, and it basically fixes voice because his voice wasn't strong enough to carry the song, and it really should have been one of the other guys singing it, but for whatever reason, he's the one singing it. Then we go into Searching Circles. Also, the other thing with that song, it really is another example of a song that is about 5 years too late. If it had come out tail end of the 60s, very beginning of the 70s, it might have been okay, but 75, it's too late. That goes into Pearly Gates. I really like Pearly Gates. I really love the use of the multi-vocal lines on it, and there's no warble. Thank God. It's one of the other vocalists. Pearly Gates is probably the song on the album I listen to the most often. Enjoy the most off of here. That goes into Lonely Hearts, which is a good and solid album cut. High pace, great groove, but it's those fucking warble vocals again. So the way I describe the warble vocals is, okay, Stevie Nicks is known for having that legendary kind of goat kind of sound or voice. South Park did a whole episode about it. It was great. It was funny. Good times. When you get into this, it's like he's singing like Stevie Nicks, where he's kind of got that goaty kind of sound in his voice. But then they do a frequency modulation on it, which creates an extra flutter. Almost like they're using a gate panning kind of thing. So it's kind of like it's swinging back and forth with the voice. But it's not swinging back and forth heavily between the channels, a little bit, but not really. It's a really stupid thing. I don't like it. It's good on like maybe one or two songs, but on a bunch of songs, it's just tacky and annoying. It's overused. And then the album finishes out with Before You Go. Solid way to close out the album. This song isn't one that's definitely way ahead of itself. Very, very power ballad like. You can hear distinct. You get to hear all the distinct vocalists on this album on this particular song, and the multi vocals are used to great effect all over. It's a great song, or not a great song. It's a good song. My cat wanted to say hi. Pandora, say hi to everybody. Okay. So, it's a good song. I don't mind it. it closed out the album decently. The only problem is the song doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me, but it definitely, that power ballad kind of vibe to it. It's a power ballad, that's why it doesn't do much for me. But that kind of power ballad thing that's going on, I mean, it's really there. It's really present. Um, really interesting to hear back in 1975. And I will get into that when I cover my next album from Iron Butterfly. But anyways, folks, that's it. I'm done. That is Scorching Beauty. Do I recommend this album? Honestly, out of every song in the Iron Butterfly catalog, wow, man, your fur's everywhere, cat. Out of every song in the Iron Butterfly catalog, it is probably the worst album as far as I'm concerned. I don't like this album that much. I do listen to it. I still pop it in from time to time. I don't like it as an Iron Butterfly album. As an album that is not Iron Butterfly, it's good. Like I said at the very beginning, it is the wrong band name at the wrong time. If this album had come out in the 60s, at the same time as the other Iron Butterfly albums had come out, and had been this particular lineup doing this stuff, it would have been a much better album if they had had a different band name. Obviously, it would have been a different lineup, right? At the same time. You are being difficult. So, I would really not suggest that album as a first album for anybody for Iron Butterfly. Definitely check out any of the other albums I've reviewed already. But those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions, my views. Leave me your comments. Let me know what your thoughts, views, and opinions are. I'd really like to know. Have you listened to Scorching Beauty? What do you think? Do you think I'm not being fair to it? While you're on your way down in the comment section, there is a link that will take you to Patreon. You feel free to click on that. There is a like button, a subscribe button, a bell for notifications. Please hit those. Peace. Love. Take care.